I'm doing a review of this Milwaukee M12 rivet gun, battery powered rivet gun. It's this gun here. Model number is 2550-20 or -20. I was using a hand rivet gun originally when I made this box and this box. This is a food truck I'm making. Anyways, so I was using a hand rivet gun for those boxes. There's a lot of framing inside of them, so I probably used maybe around 300-400 rivets. I did everything by hand with that thing right there. I started with the Home Depot Aero rivet gun, and that thing it sucked. This thing here, Click Fast, I bought it from a company nearby called United, or not United, what is it, something fat, what is it? Oh crap, I forget the name. Anyways, United Fastener or something like that. Anyway, so I got that thing compared to the Home Depot one is amazing. It works great, fucking great. Very nice hand rivet gun. I did those two boxes with that, and I was very happy with the outcome. But it was a hand rivet gun, so it's tricky. The best ones you can get are the pneumatic ones with the air. But if you're looking for something that you don't need any cords or anything, and you want a battery powered one, there's different ones on the market. This is the only one that I've ever used that's not a hand rivet gun. So my review on this thing, as you can see, I did a lot of rivets. I've probably riveted with the gun. I've probably done like 800-900 rivets. I did the majority of them on one battery, the 3.0 battery, XC 3.0 M12 battery. I did probably about 600 or 700 rivets with the one battery, so it lasts a long time. I had it for days. I was using the same battery, and just yesterday, to complete this panel, I had to switch out the battery. As the battery goes to about half, it starts to get a little weaker of a pull. Once it gets less than half, there's 4 bars on the rivet gun, as you can see. So when it's 4 bars and 3 bars, it's very consistent, strong pull. So the gun has a pulling. So if it's low battery, the pull is going to be like, it's a little slower when it's 1 and 2 bars. But once again, even with 2 bars, I had it on 2 bars for a few days, and I did a couple hundred rivets when it was on 2. When it hit 1, it was very low. So it was about dead at 1. Anyways, so with this gun, my review is it worked amazing, especially when you compare any kind of battery or any automatic kind of rivet gun compared to a hand rivet gun. This one performed very well. It was quite amazing. Any gun you get that's not hand is going to be much better than the hand one, because way less time, just so much easier. So on this gun particularly, I was looking into a rivet gun, and I was thinking, should I get the Milwaukee one, because I have other Milwaukee stuff. I have a Milwaukee charger, and I have a lot of M18 Milwaukee tools, and I was trying to decide, what can I buy that would make my life easier, and I decided to get the Milwaukee one just because I like Milwaukee. So in using this gun, the gun itself is really nice. It has this cartridge here. The cartridge is for the rivets to fall into. The thing about the cartridge, or storage, or whatever you call it, for the rivets to fall into, the rivets don't actually pull all the way through the gun. Sometimes a piece of the rivet will break and it won't pull the entire rivet, and when it breaks a little bit, sometimes you can go like this and then it falls inside. So let's look inside and see what I got. I have some bigger pieces, mainly small shards or whatever. They're all small pieces. So those are the small little broken pieces. That means the rivet, like this, a little piece, it broke off a little piece of the rivet. Now, what happens at that point, when that little piece breaks off, the gun won't pull the rivet, the rest of the rivet through, because it needs a certain amount. So once that little piece is off, you're not going to be able to pull the rivet through again. So one of the good things about having the hand one is I was able to put the hand one over the remaining part of the rivet, and I would bend it and break off the top of the rivet as long as it pulled enough. Otherwise, I would drill out the rivet and put another rivet in. And one of the things that ended up occurring a few times, it wasn't unbearable, but it did jam a few times. And I know I'm holding the phone, but I'm gonna do a little to show you how to unjam it. A little bit of a take apart of the thing. Let me get my wrench. So unjamming it, I probably jammed. I'm gonna say I probably jammed the gun over the course of 600-800 rivets. I jammed it maybe 20 times. I mean, maybe less. I'm trying to think how many times I took it apart. Less than 20 times over like 800 rivets. But it's gonna happen. You're gonna have a jam. So you need to know how to take this piece off, and then there's another piece that's in there to take it off. This piece you don't need to take off for the jam. That piece is the end for the kind of rivet you're using. I'm using 3/16 rivets. That's all the rivets that I've been using, just 3/16. The teeth on this thing are very good. The way they work is with a spring thing, and so it doesn't wear the shit out of the teeth. I'm sure if you use it for a lot of rivets, like thousands, eventually it'll wear out. There's other connectors there for other size rivets. They're inside there. You got to take the battery off. But anyways, so let's remove this thing here. I'm going to try to get this on camera as best as I can. It's just a little tricky because I'm holding it. I'll put this between. Let me see here. Let's try to get this on camera. It's going to be tricky. All right. So you go in here. Oops. Let's get it better angle. So this piece here comes off. So you have to adjust your wrench. All right. Sorry for all the commotion here. So this piece comes off. Now there is a spring in here. It's not going to pop this thing off, but there is a spring there that holds the other piece on nicely. So this piece comes off. One of the things about this is you want to make sure there's a little bit of oil around the outside, not the threaded, but the outside part. Inside there, around the inside of the barrel, you want there to be some oil in there. I'm not personally sure which kind of oil or grease. Probably grease would be good. This here, when the first time it jammed, I was concerned because I'm like, oh, there's grease on it. Am I gonna fuck it up if I take the grease off? I haven't re-greased it once since I've changed since I've removed this like less than 20 times, probably like 10 or 15 times. So anyways, this piece now comes off. Now these are the teeth. And the teeth, there's a spring behind the teeth. Once you take this off, the teeth have no spring behind it. So the teeth can just fall out, which is not a problem. They're very easy to get back in. So let's take this off. Try to do this one-handed here. Okay. So when you unscrew this, there's a spring there. Okay, that's the spring. That's where the teeth are in there. And what will happen is inside here, where the teeth are, sometimes a little piece will get stuck in there. It'll get stuck and like not stuck straight. It'll get stuck like crooked, so it's not going to be able to grab any more rivets. It'll be like a piece like this. Sometimes they get stuck in there, these little tiny pieces. And then also, what will happen sometimes, it'll get stuck in here. This is the piece that the rivet goes through if it makes it all the way through to the back, which they usually do not unless you're upside down, but it doesn't usually do that. Sometimes a rivet will get stuck in this barrel. Now it's good to have some kind of grease in this barrel. I didn't do any grease. I haven't put any new grease in it, but that is where it jams. It jams there, and it'll jam here. It never jams in this thing. This you just take off to get to that. So once you remove the piece, these pieces, they move. I don't want to like reconfigure them, but you can push them out. They're small, and they, once you put the spring back on, they go back in place. But they're 3 individual teeth that you're gonna have to take out, and you gotta, you know, kind of get them in the right position before you put the spring on, or screw them back to the spring. So that screws back on after you undo the jam. Very easy, very simple. It's very annoying, but trust me, with the amount of ease of having a battery powered, try to get this back on one-handed. With the amount of ease of having a battery powered rivet gun, this is not a problem to me. It's a little, you know, a little annoying. Obviously, you don't want it to be jamming. A little bit annoying, but this thing is amazing. I love this thing. Great, great tool. Works great. I'm sure that there's rivet guns that rarely ever jam, and it could be because maybe it needs more oil or grease. But that being said, this thing has performed very well. Like I said, I've done many rivets, many rivets. I did all of these rivets here, and then underneath this, there's a lot of studs. I got 10 studs here. I have 14 studs here, 14 studs there, and I riveted the shit out of this thing. Now, one of the things on the rivets, why does it jam? This is the reason. So there are 2 reasons. One reason it jams, this is a very big rivet. These rivets, when you drill a hole, if the hole is not perfectly flat or flush, then it can jam. So if there's a hole and it's kind of like on an angle, and you try to rivet it, the rivet will try to pull straight. So sometimes this piece will bend, and there will be a jam, and it'll be a little hard to pull the piece out. The best thing to do when that happens, when you have a hole that you have to do sideways, and you pull on it, as long as it pulls through once, pull your gun out. If the rivet piece is still sticking out, either use one of those or a wrench and just break off the top piece. So sometimes it'll jam if you have it on an angle like that, and then sometimes the other reason is one of the rivets, even if it's flat, it'll sometimes just break off a little piece, and sometimes that little piece gets like twisted in there in the barrel, and it jams in the teeth. So that's why there's the jamming. That's what happens. Other than that, this tool is great. If you want to get a Milwaukee Rivet tool, this is a great tool, and it works really well. I love the fact that it's battery. The barrel, the way that the barrel is made, you can get in some tight spots, but this one actually, believe it or not, even though it's not as long, it gets in tight spots easier. So I still need to use a regular rivet gun, but I've done almost all my rivets with this. If I didn't have that gun, I would be able to do everything with this. I would just have to drill out some of the rivets, and I would have to redo some rivets. But other than that, this gun is phenomenal. I recommend a rivet gun like this. If you're going to be doing anywhere between 200 plus rivets, you should get a rivet gun. Like I said, I did like 300-400 rivets or more with these two boxes, and I did them all by hand. And if that was all that I needed to do for rivets, I may have only stuck with the hand one. But this gun was about $200 for the gun, and then you got to get batteries for it. Rivet gun is amazing. Love the gun. Very happy with it. I'm trying to think if there's anything else on the gun that I would have to say for people. So the main takeaways are: one, if the rivet is twisted on an angle, when it pulls it, it's going to bend the rivet shaft that you're pulling out, and it'll sometimes jam in there or get kind of stuck. You'll need pliers to pull it out, or you have to unscrew that and pull it out. Two, if the gun just breaks off a piece, it could jam. If it breaks off a piece, what you can do first is you hold it upside down, and sometimes, most of the time, that piece will drop out of the bottom. That's why there was pieces in this thing. That's the only reason. It doesn't actually pull the rivets all the way through. So, great gun, very happy with it. And that is the review.